Like I knew what she was gonna say. Hi guys.
Hello.
Hi. So we're just gathering a little bit if you want to talk a little bit before let more people in, and then we'll start.
Sponsorships. News 12 and News 12 New York.
Hi, Angela Berry.
Hi guys.
Hi,
Good
Angie.
afternoon. 12:01.
So good. So good. So this is our first one of these. It's kind of exciting, something a little different. And I think, I mean, I love that we're recording it for people who are working and can't come, but also we'll put it on the YouTube for those who want to see behind the scenes. This is fun. Hi, Nancy.
Hi.
Hi. Okay, so this is kind of how this is going to go. I'm going to introduce our two fabulous authors, and they're going to take each is going to take a turn, maybe 20 minutes or so. They're going to speak to you for a little bit as if we're in a bookstore, and then you can ask questions or pick their brain a little bit or give them love, however you would like to relate to them as your authors, um, what your experience was reading their story. Okay. All right. So, I mean, you know them a little bit more now after reading their stories, but we have Lisa Davis, we have Shan Bryant, and we're so happy both of you are here. And I'm so grateful for both of your stories. I get to speak first, so I can say this, but like I had moments of emotion for both of them. And maybe if there's extra time, I'll talk about that at the end. But Lisa, would you like to take the floor and share anything that's on your mind or whatever?
Yeah, sure. First of all, thank you so much for giving us this opportunity to connect with people. And thank you to everyone who showed up. I see people that I haven't seen in a while and some new faces, and I'm really excited. Thank you so much. Oh, sorry, let me turn my phone off so I don't interrupt the thing. And we go. I just wanted to say also that I'm really excited that I'm doing this with Shan because hers, I haven't read all the stories yet, but I have read Shan's and I've actually gone through because a couple of the things that she said in her story, even though what happened with her is so completely different from what happened to me, is still helping me
Hmm.
in in my journey. So yeah, pretty
Thank you. That's sweet for you to say that.
universal
And
words
you
that.
for us too. Yeah.
Oh, thank
It's
you.
really
Good,
great.
good,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, you taught us a lot. I'm really appreciative of your story. If I can just say that. I'm really appreciative of your story because there's so many things we didn't know. And Stephen and I have a neighbor over here who, runs into the street and does the violence and does the things and I've never understood it until I read your story. And I really have such compassion for that little girl now. And I have such compassion for the parents. And I want to go just drop the book on their doorstep. This is
Uh,
going to be so helpful because, one of the biggest things I got out of your book was you changing. And that goes for not just, for your kids, for your employees, for, anyone you're interacting with, because
mm,
we don't have control over how anyone else shows up, but we have control over how we show up. And that's what I got from your story. That was the biggest through line for me, for you.
nice. Thank you. I
You're
just,
welcome.
I remember feeling so alone and just feeling like, oh, I'm just messing everything up because I didn't have any frame of reference at all for what I was going through. And I didn't have a a solid parenting background, to draw from because my own parents were just not good people. They weren't able to give me a solid foundation. So not only was I trying to build my own foundation, I was trying to figure out what on earth was happening to this child, and I just remember feeling the loneliness the most, just feeling like there was just nobody else in the world who could possibly understand what was happening, and thinking that everyone who saw her was judging me and judging her. And the thing is, though, she would fall apart at home, but she'd be a perfect angel outside, out of the house. But there were times when she just couldn't keep it together outside of the house. And those were the times when I felt like, oh, I have to hide her. I have to, you know, make everybody think everything's fine. And that ultimately hurt me more than anything. And now I'm just like, hey, this is my life. This is the messiness, and have fun with it because it isn't anything shameful, you know? So I think that once I let go of that shame, the loneliness part sort of dissipated too. So, if you want me to send you a signed copy of the book to give to your neighbor, I would gladly do it because I would never
Mm,
want anyone to feel as lonely as I felt before I realized what was going on.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
and she has three kids just like you. And
Wow.
and it's the youngest one that I watch the struggles, and when I sit outside in the mornings, I watch what occurs, and she hides in my bushes a lot.
Oh,
And I didn't know how to interact with her, but watching your story, reading your story, like I could see it on the big screen. I could see it in the movies. Like I really could
yeah.
see physically, like, the characters, and I think the starring role in that for me was her.
Yeah.
And watching her, because those are the people, that I know. And we're not friends. We say hey over the fence, right? And they fed my cats once, but I feel like this could be the thing that maybe, bridges that gap between her and I,
Mhm.
to actually maybe forge a friendship to give her a resource, because I didn't know, and we don't know what we don't know, and when we don't understand, we stand back from it. And you
Mhm.
taught us, hey, it's okay to peek behind the curtain and ask the questions. Like we're human, and we're just freaking trying to stay above water, and we don't want to hide back here. There's nothing to be shameful of, and there's nothing to hide from. And you gave us permission to go, hey, you need some help? And it's okay.
Ah,
Like maybe it's just to talk about something else, and maybe it's to talk about that, but and
yeah.
as opposed in a safe space, right? As opposed
Yes.
to, you know, the pity party or the, oh my God, how are you? Because, we all hate that. But,
Yeah.
right, it's the worst, but in an empowered way to say, look, you look like you're dealing with some things this morning. If you need to have a glass of wine or whatever, it never even occurred to me to do that because I didn't understand it. And I understand it so much more because of you. So I just wanted
Thank
to say thank you.
you.
Yeah, you're
Thank
welcome.
you. I love what you said about you know, uh bridging the gap because I think that one thing that people tend to, I don't think anybody wants to ignore other people, but I think that they feel like, oh, I don't know if this kind of, if anything would be welcome. Like, does this person want to be left alone? Should I just sort of, keep my distance? And I mean, I'm sure you've gone through that with the stuff that you were going through. You know, I would never think to come up to you and say, talk to me about your illnesses because that's just not something I think, as Americans do. And I don't think a lot of people do in other countries either. I've lived in a couple other countries, and believe it or not, people in Germany are even, more closed off than people in the United States. But I would never think to go up to somebody and say, hey, talk to me about what you're going through. And I feel like stories like ours open the door and let people know that not only do we want to talk about these things and share them, we really want support, which is also hard to ask for. It's,
Can anyone else on this call relate to that? Did
Yes, I
anyone relate
do.
to that? Yeah.
I do relate
yeah.
to that. I'm just glad that you shared your story, Lisa, because I didn't understand autism either. I had no clue this is what autism was. So I learned a lot from your story, and I'm glad that you wrote it because it's going to educate a lot of us who
Oh,
don't
I
have the
hope so.
information, you know. So I'm grateful for your story. I loved it. And also, I can imagine, you know, as a mom, how you felt. Because I know the world, especially with children, love to judge the mom, you know. I'm not
Mhm.
saying that fathers don't get judged too, of course, but, you know, everything. Where's the mom? What happened to the mom? What is the
Right.
mom
Right.
doing? So I just can imagine your pain and your frustration, you know. So you know, I cried about your story too, but I laugh as well, and I'm happy how it all ended. Oh, you know, you get to understand your daughter, she get to understand herself, and she's being who she is. That's
Yeah.
what I
Yeah.
love. We have to be who we are, you know, regardless
Yes.
of what it is. So I enjoy your story, and yeah, I'm glad to be a part of it to
Thank
learn
you.
more. Thank you for your story, and of course, Shan, love your story too. I cried, especially when you were on the floor and there's nobody to help you. So I can imagine because I'm a little dramatic at times too. I guess most of the females are. I can imagine.
Not just females.
Yeah, well, yeah, some men as well. So I can imagine you on the floor. I'm like, whoa. I couldn't, but you know, I'm just grateful that you walked this journey and you come out on the other side. So love your guys' story. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you,
Angie.
Angie.
Welcome.
Appreciate that. I want to say hi to my mommy. She's here. Hi, mommy.
Hi.
Elaine's mommy.
Hi, Elaine.
This is a big deal for her, y'all. It's her first Zoom.
Oh my
Oh my
goodness.
gosh.
Welcome.
Woo.
I
That's
feel
great.
so supported that my husband and my mommy
Absolutely.
showed up.
That's really nice. That's awesome.
Yay.
Um, so you know what? Shan, I wanted to actually tell you too that part of your story where you were on the floor, that made I just felt something really just visceral inside of me because I've been on the floor just in a different way. I think we all have, haven't we? You know? And at some
Yeah.
point in our lives, we've all just had nothing left. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I feel like that's what's kind of at the core of every single one of these stories. And like I said, I haven't finished the book yet. Um, I'm gonna have time today, and I'm so excited. I'm like literally planning it into my schedule. Um, but every single one of us reaches a point where we feel like we can't go on, but we do. And so that's kind of the common thread running through all of these stories in this book. And how incredible to know that even if people aren't going through exactly what you're going through, they still understand that feeling. So, yeah, this is a really important book, I
That
think.
is so
I'm so
good.
glad.
Mhm.
I'm so grateful that people are buying it and reading it. I feel like
Mm.
we're making the world a better place, you know, one person
Yeah.
at a time.
One person at a time.
I
Yeah.
love that. One
Yeah.
reader
Yeah.
at a
One
time.
reader at a time.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Well,
Yeah.
the one thing that's really great about the floor too is that number one, it is even though it hurts to be down there, it's like that last support. It's like the safety in football, you know, it's like that last support. I mean, the only way from there is up, you
Yeah.
know. I mean, at
Mm.
least you have a perspective of, of what's possible, you know.
Yes. There's only
Yeah.
And
better from
so,
there. Yes.
yeah, yeah. So thank God for the floor.
Thank God for the floor.
I
And I
love
think
that.
what was ultra frustrating, what isn't in the book, is it wasn't the first time that happened, right? That it happened with the hammock in the backyard. It
Yes.
happened, you know, pulling weeds and I fell back and literally fell into the hammock and then tripped over the hammock and almost landed in the pool. thank
Mhm.
goodness, like a lot, and a lot of, I've so many of those that happened at work many, many times. So for that particular one, it was like, I can't keep doing this. This is
Yeah.
like, that was the moment I called my mom after, and I just said, and she said, you need a life alert. And I was like, I mean, I wasn't even 50 years old. I was in my 40s, like, I don't want a life alert. What do you mean? And then I went
Mhm.
down the road of trying to figure out, is this me and Granny gonna wear our life alerts together? Like, I don't understand, you know? How did it get to this? Was what, and I think that's why that one was just the hardest, lowest of the lows. And then watching my cat try and support me in every way she possibly could.
Mm.
Oh,
So
And then
good.
throwing that ironing board and scaring her so bad. That's what brought me out of it,
yeah.
was seeing her reaction. And I went, okay, like I screamed and I cried and I went, this is like every piece of anger, frustration that I had stuffed into those little cells came out in that moment. And that was why that moment was really hard. And every one of us has one of those moments, like you were saying earlier. Ooh, and what's on the other side of that is, me calling Faith and saying, I will never have another seizure again. Like I'm so done. Right? And then getting on the calls and declaring it with you guys and saying, I'm I'm done. And trying to find my way back from that. And, thanks to Faith and Trish for making sure I stayed here to make sure that that happened. And Nancy for sitting with me on the couch and doing the puzzles with me. And, you guys like held me up, when Stephen was at work. And, Stephen for taking me to the beach and allowing me to have that time of healing out there, but also, that was me hiding. But Stephen having the wherewithal to know me so well that I needed, you know, he knows when to come and when to go. He just very, very gently with me. And, and I lived for those Monday calls with my mommy, you know, and I knew that I was not, I had to get back up. Every time I didn't want to get back up, I had to get back up. So I am so grateful for this community and for my family. And I think I say it all in my gratitudes, but you guys lifted me up from that dark place. And I can't be more grateful.
Mm.
But
I
anyway,
love that. So good. So I kind of see this,
Love
when you
that.
go into an old-fashioned ice cream parlor and there's the case, right? And all the different colors of ice cream. So it's all ice cream, but it's different kind of colors and flavors of ice cream. And I think what we did in this book is write about our pain, and everybody has a different flavor of pain. They might be
Yeah.
related in some ways, but we like the autism, I see it as blue. I don't know why. It's the blue raspberry ice cream that I would never eat on my own. Like might
Right.
taste good, but I wouldn't pick it if I had a choice, right?
Mhm.
Um, I wanted to say to you, Lisa, like there's a part where you say you were told that you did it right
Oh,
because you didn't believe in punishment.
yeah.
And that's what just completely broke me as a mom of someone with autism. Like, could it be possible that I am a good mom? Like that was it for me.
What a moment. I mean, I'm crying too now. That that was that was probably the single most important moment of my life. Honestly, more important than, actually having my children was realizing that I was actually doing good things. And anyone who knows me well, actually, probably nobody who knows me well, nobody really knows. I went through some extremely, I had a very, very violent and cruel upbringing. Um, so have that as my parenting model and to realize that somehow I was able to not follow that path, that I was able to not just
Mm.
break that cycle, but demolish it.
Mm.
Yes.
And the whole time thinking, like, what am I doing? Like, am I crazy? Because, I also had people telling me, well, you've got to spank her. Well, you've got to do this. Well, you're the parent. You've got to force her, blah, blah, blah. So having all of these voices coming at me and having all of, and all of them resting on this experience that I had actually gone through as a child, I'm sitting there thinking, I'm making everything worse. Like I knew I couldn't punish my kids. I knew I couldn't yell at my kids or, force them to do something that they they couldn't do. And then I'm like, am I right? Like, what is wrong with me? So just to have that moment where an actual doctor who had gone through, however many years of schooling, however many years of experience, this person who knew, who was considered an exemplary model in her field, to have her tell me, you're doing everything right. And she said it so flippantly, like, well, you're doing everything right. And I was like, what? I am? Like, it was such a shock. And
Mm.
I've held on to that. I've held on to that. And that's actually become my mantra. Like, even when I make a mistake, you're doing it right. You're doing it right. Because we're supposed to make mistakes, right? That's how we learn. Growing up, I was told, if I made a mistake, it had catastrophic. Um, it was a catastrophe. Like it was not okay to make mistakes. And now look at me. I'm allowing myself to make mistakes. I'm allowing my children to make mistakes and we're learning from them and we're loving ourselves through them. That's the thing.
Mm.
So thank you for bringing that up, Tammy, because actually, you had said like if you were going to read a paragraph from your book, which one would it be? And it was this one that describes how it was between two of them. One that describes Anik and how she is now, and then one that was that moment when Dr. Namazi told me that I was actually a good parent. It was huge.
Yeah, so good.
Yeah. I wish you guys
So
could,
we
I
have,
wish everyone could feel that like moment
yeah,
of, oh, you know.
I'm okay.
Anyway, sorry, what were
So
you?
we have some authors from Face the Sun here. We also have some authors from Brave here. And if I'm going to just open it to anybody who's here, if you want to ask Lisa a question or tell her how awesome she is, now is the time.
Mm. Well, I can share. So I love the book and I can relate to things in every one of your stories and so appreciate, you know, all of the authenticity and the shares. And I remember one of the times that I was on the floor and somebody said, write down what you're feeling, like the world of what you're feeling now, because someday you're going to teach from it. And I'm like, are you effing nuts? I'm not telling anybody about this. Like, are you crazy? And now I do teach from some of that. And I totally acknowledge all of you for doing exactly that. And one of the things um, for Lisa, so not even recently, but I am a success coach for creative adult entrepreneurs. And I also signed up with and joined Highlight Coaching probably about 2 years ago for coaching for teens and young adults.
Ooh,
And it's been kind of a slow, like getting started. Everybody's like, yes, this is great. It's going to be amazing. But it's finally like the ball is finally starting to roll. And one of the other coaches started a modified program for kids on the spectrum.
nice. Oh, good.
That's the one that's been the most successful recently. And why I haven't gotten uh, the coaching clients is because I'm not certified in that program. And up until recently, um, I was uncomfortable I was uncomfortable in my ability to coach them because there was so much that I didn't know. And who am I to be, am I going to be a good enough support? Am I going to be a good coach? Am I going to, I don't know if I don't understand enough that I felt like I needed to, that, I don't know, and I'm intimidated, and I'm not sure if I want to step into that world. And
Yeah.
after reading your story, I feel much more comfortable about saying yes.
Yeah.
And I spoke to the woman, and I'm going to get coached to be able to coach that program so that I will
Wow.
understand and be able to coach kids that are on the spectrum too, and not have to run away and hide from it because, like, you know,
Yeah.
and depending on what day, it was like, am I going to break them? Like, am I going to do more harm?
Yes.
Like
Oh
on
my
our
God.
morning call, do no harm. I'm like, how do I know if I'm going to do no harm? Like, I don't want to hurt them,
Real
but like,
fear.
how do I help them? I don't know. Like, so you freed me up so
Oh,
that that's now a possibility that wasn't a possibility before.
oh my gosh, that's wonderful. That's amazing. I know, I think a lot of people, I mean, you know, the way autistic people are portrayed in the media, and just the limited knowledge we have about them, it's easy to be intimidated because I don't think I don't think there is real knowledge. Um, I think that a lot of
Mm,
people in my generation saw Rain Man and that was it. And that's our understanding
mm,
of autism. And that, I mean, nothing could be further from the reality of it. I have two children with autism. I'm autistic. I just found out. I just got my diagnosis last week, guys. I'm so stoked. I was like, oh,
Congratulations.
finally, I understand now, you know. But so and I'm sitting here like, we're all just people. We're all just normal people. We want the same things neurotypical people want. We we want friends, we want to belong, we want to do good things, we want to have fulfilling lives, we want to do good in the world, and we just might need a little extra support and accommodation getting those things or doing those things. And so I love that people are understanding that, autistic people this is just who they are. It's not an illness. It's not something that needs to be cured. It's a way of being that needs to be understood and that needs to be accommodated and supported in the appropriate ways. That's it. And I'll tell you what, the number one accommodation is love. Just loving them through everything and
Mhm.
acceptance. Love and acceptance. That's
Mm.
it. Thank you so much for your words, Nancy. I'm so excited for what you're doing. That's incredible. I'll have to get information from you because this might be something that's good for my daughter even.
Okay,
Yeah.
excellent. And Shan, I love you. And I've been on the journey with you. By the way, I love your shirt. I did notice. Um, and I have been on the journey and I didn't know the whole thing. And really getting, the insight and the awareness, you know, thank you for sharing.
Reading it. I appreciate it. And thank you for the beautiful shirt. I love it.
Lisa, I just wanted to compliment you on the writing of your story because it was a hard story to tell, but there were things you infused it with humor and different spots. And the Miss Suzanne with the block to the head killed me. I thought that was so funny. It made me happy to read. I'm a lover of words, right? So
Yeah.
I just love things. And the sadder part with, but the belt, right? That
Mm,
it was a paisley belt with a certain kind of buckle and stuff. Like in the midst of that terrible moment, you're remembering the details about the belt. And so like
yeah.
that to me, those are signs of like a really great writer. So I
Oh,
just wanted to
thank
tell you that
you.
like I noticed those things and it made your story richer and more alive to me. I could see the paisley belt in my head. I could see Miss Suzanne getting Blah. So anyway, so thank you for making it such a pleasure to read such a,
Yeah.
excellent, but
Both of you were such amazing writers.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. I know. I was like, I loved, I was going to say also, like, where is it? I highlighted all, I have so many highlights in Shan's story that I can't find the ones that I want to find. I should have color coded it.
True. True.
Same in all of yours.
I know. Oh gosh, I can't find it, but I will. Like little things like you were talking about, Angela, where there's um detail, like unexpected detail is just it really elevates the story. So yeah, thank you for saying that. I appreciate it. I try to make everything that I write enjoyable to read, even doctor forms. So they've gotta read those. They've got to read so many of those things. I try to brighten their day a little. But yeah,
I
the
love that.
beauty is in the details.
It really
Yeah.
is.
And you
I
are a middle grade fiction writer as well, are you not?
That's actually young adult. Yeah.
Just young
So
adult.
I signed with an agent and I wrote two books and two and a half books, and then I signed with an agent. And we are currently on submission with my first book, but my agent is really wild about this other book that I had started writing, which is an autism allegory. But it's, couched in a young adult fantasy retell, a dark gothic retelling of The Wild Swans by Hans Christian Andersen. So, and she's just like, oh, this is the book. Like, we got to get this written. So that's why haven't been able to read the whole book yet because I'm on a deadline. But
Hmm.
yeah.
Shan
But
doesn't
Tell
know
us
that's
what
about
that's
that,
like.
Ryan.
yeah, I know. I know. Like at least my agent's like, well, take your time, but hurry up. But if I miss the deadline, it's fine. But Shan, you're on, I don't even know. Like
It's
that's some kind of like
done. I
crazy.
hit
Is
submit.
it?
I hit submit. It's done. Thank
Yay.
Oh,
goodness.
good for you.
Yay.
Yes.
Good for you.
I don't know if I'd be able to do that.
I don't know
I,
that my body has recovered. No, let me just be clear. My
It
body has
has
not
not
recovered.
recovered.
Yeah, Stephen had to actually physically make me breakfast this morning
oh my
because
God.
yeah, it was not recovered. So it's funny, but looking into my story and knowing where I was and where I am on a day like today, the seizures would have been all over the place and I probably would be in the hospital. No, I would be in the hospital, right, babe? I literally would have been, carted off already or would be in the bed. And, it just took some deep breathing, a mala meditation, him bringing me breakfast and we went outside and, to go deal with the phone situation and being able to go, okay, let's reset because I have something else I have to do and I have to show up for it and I'm going to show up and I'm not missing that deadline either. And that really shows me how the intentional healing, like it sticks and it works when you work it. And
Hmm.
when you can show up a certain way and it's retraining your body every single day. And for all of us, right, in every single one of our stories, that was another through line is
Hmm.
we all had to retrain our stories. We had to let
Hmm.
go of what was and what we believed in. Every single one of us had this, but I believe this thing is capital T true when it wasn't, right? And
Yeah.
being able to move through and take the new learning and then it and you are aware of it and then you got to practice it, but you also have to retrain your body to believe it. And that's when transformation truly happens,
Yep.
right? And
Hmm.
so watching that happen for each woman in this book was like freaking magical. And that's what I loved from this book. Um, yeah, for sure. And Lisa, I had something I wanted to say about your a passage in your book that's something that relates to something that I got. There's a paragraph you talk about should became the battle cry of the enemy. At any
Hmm.
time I thought Julia should do something, I took the thought and wrestled it into the deep, dark labyrinth where things go that no longer serve me. that Maze was now policed by autism guard dogs. Like, again, beautiful language, right?
Yeah.
Um, I, one of the things I was retraining again was the shoulds. And I actually called my kid last May. I think it was last May, or it may have been the May before. And I said, I just want to have this conversation with you. I am sorry that I shoulded all over you. You never needed to clean your room. You never
Mm,
needed to be on time to anything. That was me. That was all over here with me and my story and how thought things needed to look or be because of my nervous system. It had nothing to do with you. And
yeah,
moving forward in your life, if you want to be late to every single thing in the world, go for it. That's over there with you, and you get to choose. But you get to make decisions in your life. And I thought, it was last May because it was right before we went on our trip. And I said, so, be at that time they were 22. I said, at 22 years old, you get to now make the choice of all the things I told you in your life that you should do. Let all of that go, and now you get to step into choosing. So when I read that you went through that same thing with Julia, and
yeah.
well, with Anik, right? But it was Julia in this
It was
moment.
Julia in the beginning, yeah.
Yeah, but in that moment you just went, I'm done. Like, I let that go. And once you release that, the freedom that that opens up, my goodness. And it
Yeah.
touched my heart in such a big way. And I just could relate to you so much in being able to go back to our kids, and the joy of the beauty of conversation with your children, of being open and honest and having those conversations. That's something you and I share with our children, and
Yeah.
I hope everyone gets that with their parents. And obviously, I have some family stuff going on. So my mom probably had to jump off to answer the hospital, but I wish my mom could hear that. But that was, the one thing I love about her is when she and I first started having the open and honest communications and being able to do that. And that is a big part of my healing too. So thank you
Yeah,
for
yeah.
bringing it to the forefront.
Oh, thank
Well, I
you.
wanted to say that I think that one of the things that is so important to realize freedom is acceptance.
Mhm.
And, it's like once, when we're engaged in a struggle, so much of the struggle is being in resistance to what is.
Yeah.
And w- what we need to do is find a path of acceptance to what is, just to
Mhm.
get on a level playing field with it, so
Yeah.
that you can so then you can work with it. You can work with it with honesty, with integrity, with you're working with the other, as opposed to really just struggling against um, the resistance that you're holding within yourself to the situation that's in front of you. And that's something that was very, very clear in both of your stories, is getting to a point of acceptance and then being able to really from that point dive in and understand what you needed to do to navigate the situation.
Mhm.
I also admired so much the love that you had for yourselves, that you discovered for yourselves, that you were able to express for yourselves. It was very, very inspiring, very inspiring. So, yeah, I was very, very much moved by your stories. Both of you did such a beautiful job of describing where you were and bringing the reader into your space so that you could feel it.
Mm.
Both of you were very powerful with how you used your words to do that. I was, it just, I felt very proud to be in your company. It's like, oh my God, I'm going to build a book with those two. Yay.
I felt the same way, Victoria. I felt the same
Okay.
way. I'm so honored to be a part of this project.
Oh,
Yes. Yes.
So if I could quickly, I just want to acknowledge all the authors, especially Shan and Lisa today, because you're here and this is your moment. And
Yes.
I came from, you reminded me how daunting it could be at times, to do the book, to stick to the program and, your integrity and sometimes it could be very difficult. And then other times it's just so wonderful and like now exciting. And I just want to acknowledge you both for going through that whole process because it's not easy.
mhm.
And but now you get to see, the fruit of your labor. So
Mhm.
I thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thanks, Trish.
Mhm.
Anybody else? We have about 5 minutes left to lather them with praise.
I will say, I found
I
the
just
passage.
followed that.
Oh, sorry. Did I cut somebody off?
Go ahead. Go ahead. I'll come back
Oh,
in.
okay. I just want to real quick. So Shan, you wrote blackness and you offset that word. Blackness. I awoke in a fog, paralyzed and unable to speak. Coarse carpet scraped my cheek as awareness crept back into my cold, clammy body. Blurred faces grew familiar as they slowly came into view. Like I felt what that felt like, the coarse carpet against the cheek. I love that. I always love it when authors use imagery that isn't just sight imagery or
Mhm.
sound imagery. And you use this beautiful touch imagery in there that just completely put me in the moment. So anyway, I found the passage I was looking for. That's all I
Thank
had to say.
you. That's my kids' favorite passage too. They read it to
Ooh.
me 3 times, and their comment to me before they read it to me was, "Oh my gosh, Mom, I absolutely love your prose." And I said,
Mhm.
"Excuse me, who are you?"
Mm.
And then they read it, and then they read it again, and then they read it a third time, and they said the exact same thing you said. So
Oh,
yeah,
Mm.
thank
wow.
you. Yeah, that touches my heart. I appreciate that. And that moment when you read it, I felt it again.
Oh, sorry
I
to bring you
remember
back
waking up that first time and going, what happened? Like,
there.
you don't even know. You don't even know why you're there or why it has happened. So,
Well, those details made it all the more devastating. So if you had
Mhm.
just been like, I passed out and then I came to slowly, it wouldn't have felt
Right.
like that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Mm.
Yeah.
thank
I
you.
just was going to say just about the hope that you give people with chronic illness. And I did love all the I forgot about the carpet. That was really good. I'm glad you
Mhm.
pointed that out. But I have people in my family that have or had chronic illness and like kind of just gave into it. And just that was our identity. That was who they were. And I love that your spirit shone through and that you've
Mhm.
fought. I just think so many people could use that hope. So I
Mm,
Yeah.
appreciate you for that.
thanks, Ange. I appreciate that.
Anybody else?
Well, ladies, I just want to say, like, when I was reading your story, I couldn't put it down, and I was like the expression of what was happening, but the writing was so beautiful, and I was right there with you, and like it's just going to help so many people, and and then Shan for knowing you as long as I've known you, and for you to write your story, and for to be a friend and to witness your unfolding in real time, and then for you to put it in a book. You're both like you're going to help so many people, and it's so brave. It's so brave. It's so brave and
You.
beautiful.
Thank you,
So
Jack.
just want to acknowledge you both
Right.
for doing such a beautiful job, and Tammy for leading the way.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yes, thank you so
Yes.
much, Tammy.
Yes.
Mm.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, Tammy and Ange. I
And
mean,
Ange.
y'all, as
Yes,
editors,
editors
you took
extraordinary.
our words and made them into something so incredibly magical. So yeah,
Mm,
we are so grateful to both of you. And Tammy,
we
you
are.
are the best bus driver ever.
Oh man, now I gotta speed it up. I can't wait to read it.
Yeah,
Uh,
Mhm.
so good.
need to learn how to speed read.
Well, thank you all for coming and for loving these two women
Yes, thank
as
you.
I do. So our next book club session is April 28th. This one's going to be at 5 p.m. Eastern to accommodate different schedules. Primary schedule considered for each one of these were the two people who had to show up. So 5 p.m. works for them, April 28th. So it'll be Victoria and Angela Berry. I have to say her last name because we have two Angelas. So those two ladies will be here, and we will lather them with praise and talk about their stories. I like this opportunity so much for the receiving of love. So for Lisa and Shan, I hope you receive the love that we have for you so much.
Taking it all in. Yeah,
Yes.
thank you everybody for your
Thank you so
beautiful
much.
words and it's nice to hear what hits for people.
I
Oh,
love that.
Yes.
Thank you all
I
for
mean,
coming.
Gorgeous.
I love this forums. Thank you for setting it up.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Well, happy Friday. It is Friday, is it not? I have no
Yes,
idea.
it
it
Yes.
is.
is.
Thank you
Yes,
all
it
for
is.
coming. We'll see you again on April 28th.
Have a
Bye,
fabulous
Thank you.
everybody.
weekend.
Thanks for
Love you,
supporting us.
ladies.
Love
Bye.
Love
y'all.
Okay.
you
Have a
all.
great weekend.
Bye, everybody.